I thought I was on the wrong call.
I hope not.
Hey, Marina.
Good morning or good afternoon. Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, there's some other talk happening in the OpenSSF, so we might bleed people a bit, but we could probably chat about a few things.
Yeah, we can make it a short one if we get a small group.
Hi, Jen.
Hello, how are you?
I'm all right. Took a little deeper look at that document from the TOC.
Sorry, which
And
doc from the TOC?
the thing talking about how to license, like recommendations for attribution of licenses. Let me post a link here. I feel like we're already starting, even though we're just getting started.
Oh yeah, here I can read the script really fast, and then you can get into it officially. Yeah, hi everyone. Reminder that this meeting is being recorded, posted to LFX and YouTube shortly after. Your participation in these meetings is an agreement to abide by the Cloud Native Security Code of Conduct, which can be found in the repo. Would anyone like to volunteer as a scribe? Looks like Evan's already
I
doing
will.
it. Thank you. I'm not to volunteer you. And then, yeah, you know how to do that. And then, okay, yeah, for existing members and working groups, please remember to include your organization and any updates that you have. Cool. And if anyone wants to reintroduce themselves, this is your moment. I think I recognize the faces, but that always an option. Okay. We don't have a community demo, so Justin, do you want to present this doc as the community demo?
Sure,
Nope.
sure. I'll do
that already.
demo.
Awesome.
So my hold on a sec here. For show and tell today, what I brought is I brought this thing that Emily Fox at some point mentioned that I didn't know existed, which is basically recommendations about how you do attribution of other code that you're sort of using as part of dependencies of your software and things like this. And my kind of immediate thought when I saw this is this should probably be like a work product under our group. Like it's nice the TOC put this together, but as I understand the old tag security, this doesn't fit. But if we are tag security and compliance, at least to my non-compliance expert brain, this feels exactly like a thing compliance people care deeply about. So that
And
was
lawyers.
Yeah, and the lawyers and others. And so that was my initial reaction. And then I had taken a deeper look at this, and I have like a bunch of notes of things that I don't really understand and corner cases and stuff like this that are probably not appropriate or possibly not appropriate to discuss here, because I'm not trying to like fire shots at the TOC for how like very minor like document cleanup things that are whatever. But I do wonder if we want to ask, like, if we think this is a valuable thing, if the people who have more compliance experience from our end who have thoughts on this want to take this and make this into a work product out of our group, which at that point I will have like a handful of feedback about different cases and things and stuff like that.
I mean, I'm curious to hear your commentary and the discussion around it personally.
I mean, yeah, I don't have like, so I'm not trying to be sharply critical, but I will say, um, they just sort of use the term incorporated, including in the definition of incorporated code without explaining what that actually means. for instance, is one thing I wish they would change. And also, um, so I think this is unintentional, that if I stick my code, if I copy your code and I put it inside of a folder that isn't specifically intended for third-party dependencies, but then somehow this isn't a vendored component, which seems weird. Or if I add a line to the top that says, comment, I took this from whatever source, but I'm unmodifying it, that also seems slightly weird, that those two are carve out places for those would not be considered vendored under this definition, which I think isn't really the intent.
I actually think that could be the intent.
But
So
I don't know why it has to be in a specific folder that only contains that. That seems really strange to me, that therefore is vendored. Otherwise, it falls into category 1.
I don't know if Jen wants to.
Yeah.
nitpicking.
Well, I was thinking about it like if it's importable from your package, might be the difference. Like if I take code from somewhere else and I retain their copyright at the top, but you can import it from my package, is that the distinction versus like, no, you have to go get it from that upstream package that I'm using as a dependency?
I think another distinction here is that generally there's automation and tooling that can manage an entire directory of vendored content and like bring it up to date, for example. Whereas if you, select some code off of Stack Overflow or, someplace else on GitHub and just yeet it into your source code with a comment at the top, nothing's ever going to go back and check that you updated things later.
I get what you're saying, but suppose I have a library directory where all the files in there other than one, which is a README, that says these are the things contained in here, are coming from other places and they're completely unmodified. According to this definition, that would not be, none of those would be vendored because I put a README in that directory. Now, if I remove that README, then those are all now vendored. And I think that's like a silly way to read it. I think Jen has a very logical reading. Like I think, Evan, I think your case of if you copy code from Stack Overflow, blah, 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 that's a very logical, I agree. I think we all agree, like we can all put our paper tigers up and say this. I'm just saying that like, I feel sometimes by trying to be too precise about what is in a circle and what isn't in a circle, you unintentionally exclude things that shouldn't be excluded. And it's often better to state the intent of what you mean this to be, and then to say, and the circle roughly looks like this, rather than say the circle is exactly this. And here's why.
I agree with that.
All right, so it sounds like we're mostly in agreement. There's some clarification that could go to this doc, maybe like generalization or something like that. I guess the other question is whether we want to take it on as a tag and what the process for that would be.
I was curious if this would be incorporated. Oh, I'm sorry, Justin, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, I would be very curious to have other people who have compliance experience read very carefully through the document and see if there's anything you disagree with. Because for me, I don't have that, like, I don't have enough expertise. It seems like, okay, yeah, I could follow that guidance. Oh, I could follow that. Oh yeah, that seems a little different than I've seen it before, but okay, that makes sense. Maybe that's the better way. So that I think also is part of what we should be figuring out is like, do we actually agree with this? And if we don't, then when we talk with the TOC about this, I think we should say like, look, we like it, but we want to make these changes. Or, we like it, but we want to make these clarifications, is a different like kind of discussion to have, I think, with them. All right, Jen, go ahead.
Yeah, just to add to it, I was curious, once we make those clarifications or get it into a place where we feel like we would want to promote this, would it be something that we add to like the technical review questions, for example, when we're looking at projects, because I know we have a lot of security specific questions, but not as many compliance specific questions. So this might help maybe even during like a sandbox review, like taking a look at this type of thing.
Yeah, that's a great idea. And it's probably worth going through and thinking of other things like that, that should be included there. Yeah.
I would, I think that's good. I think we also, as a lightweight way, could also ask the project if they've done it. Because then we don't actually have to do it, really, which is part of what I'm like, the less work we have to do on those reviews, the better. If it's something we really feel like it's a must, then of course we need to review it. But if if you feel like this is a best practice that you probably should be aware of, then just like them having to say, yes, I did, or no, I didn't, they're always going to say yes. And they're always going to take the time then to look at it. It's like a forcing function.
Well, hopefully they'll say yes.
Well, if they say no, then that also tells us something that
Yeah.
they're not that serious about it. But in general, people will, yeah, I don't know. One of the things I've seen is if I ask, have you looked at this or have you seen this, then everyone then takes the time to look at it and then say, yes, I've looked at it. So.
I mean, I'd probably start it with a slightly more open-ended question of how does your project deal with, license compliance and, source code from elsewhere? And they may have a real clear answer, and then that's great. And if not, then, we could point them at this and say, hey, here's one way to approach it.
Cool. So this doc is right now under, it looks like foundation policy guidance. So is it's owned just by the TOC directly? So I guess the next step, like we could reach out to our TOC liaisons and just basically see if it makes sense for us to take this on, move it into somewhere that we control, so we can edit it ourselves and all that.
And for the first time now, I'm looking at this, which I also wonder if there's anything else that should potentially move.
Well, I think also we should figure out what our actual process is for these things. Our charter, for example, says that we don't create binding policies on CNCF projects. We advise the TOC on creating binding policies.
Yeah, so maybe the binding policies live here and we can open PRs against them.
Yeah.
Or guidance capacity.
But this is also recommendations. So this one specifically, I think, doesn't fall afoul of that. This, I would also argue, is not like, it doesn't seem to be.
It does say guideline there, but I'm pretty sure this is a checkbox for.
I mean, all of these are listed as recommendations, guidance, or guidelines.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure that this is, you can choose whether or not to follow it guidance or guidelines.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think as a tag, we should just decide, and they may or may not. Like, there might be other things. Sorry, Jen, did you post something else I should have poked at?
Oh, it was just another one in here. It's a little bit higher, which is an actual policy. Like, to violate it, you have to go to the, I think it's right at the top, allowed third-party license policy. And yeah, to
process for applying for an exception.
Yeah, you have to get exceptions here formally.
I mean, I guess the question is that do we think like this isn't a security thing? I'm mostly a security person. So there's a question of, do the compliance people feel really strongly that this is something that should be under their mandate and that they should be guiding the TOC rather than the TOC doing stuff, or do we just not care about any of this?
I mean, I think
I was gonna say we have a smallish group here today, so it might be worth, getting some other opinions as well, to see if folks feel strongly one way or the other. I kind of feel neutral about this. I think it falls loosely within our compliance guidelines, but also like I can see why it would be easier for projects to find if it lives in this folder in the repo, right? And we like,
it was also created in 2023.
so but if people want to take more direct ownership of it, then I think moving it under our stuff makes more sense. So I think the first step is to figure out if there are people who want to take that direct ownership in the compliance side of our group. And so I think, and we can make that an open call in Slack and maybe in the next meeting as well, if there's more folks for that
Yeah,
piece.
and then we can figure out a path. I could either kind of privately say to someone on the TOC, hey, here's a bunch of little notes about this document, or if this goes under our process, then that becomes a much easier thing for us to clean up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the cleanup kind of depends on where it ends up. And then, so that seems like a path forward there. And then for Jen's other point about including this in the project review process, I think that I think is very much within our purview, regardless of where this document lives, right? To just put that in, to suggest that as an edit to the project review process. So it was your idea, Jen, if you want to take that on, or we can find another volunteer.
Yep, I can do it.
Awesome. Cool. Anything else there? So I was just trying to turn that into action items. Yeah, so I think we can get more opinions on whether we want to take the whole doc on or just provide guidance. Cool. Moving on the agenda, we have review of other time zones. I think there was not an APAC meeting last week, at least according to the notes. TOC updates. Our charter was officially approved by the TOC, which is super exciting because what that means is that we now can like approve our own initiatives and do anything else within the scope of that charter on our own, which is very exciting. So yeah, that's great. And then I think yeah. I think there was a closed sandbox review meeting yesterday that I did not make it to, but it was a closed meeting, so we probably don't need to talk about it here anyway. And
Well, I was going to say, I think the outcome is visible on projects that got moved along and so forth. But yeah, the discussion we're not going to go over here.
Yeah, so I guess, the results of that are some projects in Sandbox, moving one way or another. So yeah. Any other TOC related updates that folks have? I do think that with the charter being approved, I think there's a couple of, or one that I know of, initiatives that that we can now like approve ourselves and just kind of move along if we so choose. So I think we'll get to that when we triage issues later, but yeah. Project updates. It looks like Jen, you had one mentioned in the attendance. If you want to start us off.
I think that might have been from last week's.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, no worries. But the only update is I put that out on Slack, just hoping to see what kind of interest there is before putting in an actual GitHub issue, just to make sure we actually have contributors who would want to work on it.
Very cool. Yeah, any other project updates that folks have?
Carolina, do you want to say anything about the supply chain insights? Do you want me to?
No, I don't have any news from this initiative. I have another initiative that I want to discuss, but I have to leave in 10 minutes.
But well, then you should go.
Yeah, you go first.
But this was, well, I wasn't prepared so much. Well, okay, but basically I can share the link that it was Kubernetes self-assessment, and I would like that if you can review, or also because here are a lot of security experts, and if you have to take a look. And I will leave the document, and you can take a look.
Is there
Of
an
this
issue
is-
open on this on our tracker? I think when the TOC stuff happened, we tried to.
No, yeah, that's the reason that I didn't put it, because I will leave the meeting in 10 minutes, and but yeah, it's just a spoiler maybe. I will put in the notes together with the link.
Okay, yeah, and the way to start it is you can just put the issue up that you were ready for a
Yeah.
joint assessment, I think is what you really want, or do you just want your self-assessment merged? Probably a joint assessment though, right?
Yeah, it's a sub-project from Kubernetes
Uh-huh.
that they do some self-assessment for the components inside of Kubernetes. So it will be nice that we are developing a document, and it will be nice if you can also take a look. And I will put it in the notes,
Okay,
because it was like, yeah, I would like to leave for the next meeting because maybe my name was mentioned, and I will leave. But okay, because Evan mentioned, I already share the overview. So I will put the notes in there about the document and everything. Okay.
Awesome. Yeah, once that's in the, hopefully that'll end up in our issue tracker and we can make sure it gets reviewed.
Yeah, I will put it in.
So the supply chain insights overview, I think, is fairly brief. We checked in a README to give a top level space for code and so forth that we may be adding to support the initiative. I have a PR out for code owners on that. And we did a bunch of issue creation and project board curation, but no other concrete outputs yet. We're working towards our milestone 1, but don't have a timeline on it yet.
Okay, that's good. Any other quick updates, or I'll go to the project board.
the other quick update I have was there was a TOC, someone initiated some requests with the TOC to start guidance on AI, like MCP security, authorization work. And so a bunch of people got dragged into it, many from this group by me, or at least were made aware of it and then jumped on. But I think it makes sense for us to possibly be a home for this. But as I said in the issue, I am stretched thin. I think John Shell and Yoshiyuki both were quite interested in this. So I feel like we have enough representation to do this. But given that everything happening with the like SBOM attestation guidance and other stuff that also is a work product here, I am not taking like a third tag security and compliance thing on.
Yeah, it looks like John did say that he'd be happy to be the leadership representative for this. So
I just more wanted to make people aware of this in case you have interest in this in some capacity.
Yeah, I definitely have some interest as well, so I'll probably join it in that as it happens. And I think one thing we can definitely do if we start to have too many initiatives is just like order them, like have a bit of a backlog, if depending on how this all goes. So it looks like for now we can take this on, but I think as we get more initiatives, we can always make some sort of backlog system. But yeah, and so I guess we can check in with John at some point, but it looks like or I guess the one action item here is that now that our charter has merged, we can just go ahead and add that we can, decide ourselves that this is an initiative we want to take on, which I think we basically have, right? There's a bunch of the folks from our tag in this thread, people on this call. I think that seems like that's something we want to take on.
As long as the other folks are comfortable with us being involved, then yes.
Okay, yeah, maybe we can do some back channeling to make sure we're not stepping on any toes, and then
Yeah.
before we officially take it on. That sounds fine. Yeah, we can definitely be involved in some capacity though. That sounds great. Any other quick updates? Otherwise, I'll start skimming through the board, see if there's anything here. So it looks like on the board we have this security review. I should just share my screen. Sorry, it's being funny. There used to be a way for me to share a tab, which apparently doesn't exist anymore.
I just did it. It exists somehow.
Okay. I'm just gonna start over. Because I can share just the, anyway, I'll just share the window, it's fine. See all my
If you're
tabs.
using the native app, it may not be able to share tabs. If you're doing it from the in-browser thing, it can.
It used to work in this, which is very weird. It's okay. You all can just see my tabs. I don't think any of them are secret, they're just chaotic. So yeah, so here we are. The security review for KCP. Looks like, did they link the self-assessment? Looks like they did not yet. So it looks like we're waiting on them to do that for this.
I wonder if we just, for these, if we just want to like close them or something and just tell them to reopen. Cause like I also get, I don't know. It looks like we have all these open issues we're waiting on and we're really not.
Yeah, I'll
Can we label them as awaiting user feedback or something like that?
We used to have that as a label, I think. But then we end up with like 8 assessments waiting user feedback that are going to be that way for years.
Well, but we can point out, hey, the blocker on people is them engaging. Or we can close it and tell them to reopen. I don't feel super strongly, but if we feel bad about, or if they feel bad about us closing the issues, we just need some way to filter them out.
They offered to close it here, so
Okay.
I mean,
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
just close it and just say, hey, just reopen this when you're ready.
okay.
Yeah, sounds good. So whenever you have that or other things, Carolina, just open an issue and say, hey, we have this. And if you want a self-assessment, then I'll usually give you like really, really, really brief comments on a few minor things. And a joint assessment will be actually like a lot of work, a lot of help from a team of people. To most of that is actually getting the self-assessment to be more complete and to give you critical analysis of it and stuff like that.
I don't have the history here, but it looks like Kubernetes SIG security has a parallel, but not the same process.
Yeah. That's exactly like the SIG security is more focused in the Stride, like 2 components. But I am open to suggestions that we can maybe build a better pattern, because I was checking that your self-assessment is more focused for the new open source project, and it's a little different, like Evan said about it. But yeah. But thank you. I really sorry I have to leave the meeting, but I will review your notes.
And I think our charter currently says that we are parallel to SIG security and don't overlap them, but
We can provide cross guidance, but not like,
yeah,
yeah, we don't want to take on their work or vice versa.
or unify the two or anything like that.
Yeah. You know, Kubernetes is such a big project, they need their own stuff.
It's fine. It was more of a, I don't have background, so I'm going to not say things until somebody who has more background can tell me what's right.
I'm not sure what's going on with this one. Anyone have context here? It looks like Justin asked something about the template. This looks like a template. Is this the wrong template?
It's not, it doesn't have all the checkboxes and all the other
Yeah, it
stuff.
doesn't have all the checkboxes. So they do have a self-assessment.
Is it possible that it was created before the template?
I think it was.
Or with an older template, rather?
Yeah, it looks like
Still
Grant-
with a template.
Scroll down all the way to the bottom here again. So there's some PR. Copy the contents into your issue or close this issue and open a new one. So once again, like this is me like a month ago asking them to fix this, and maybe this wasn't very clear, but
So I think the issue might be that Brant opened this to copy it over or something, and then they don't have edit access.
So I think I linked the original from Tag Security,
Yeah,
and this one just might have gotten open before I had copied over the joint assessment template into the TOC repo.
Yeah, I think it did.
I don't see the other one, which is funny.
This was opened on May 14th. So this was
This is a long-
after the tag reboot was announced, but before I think we even knew who was going to be on the new tags.
Yeah. So how do we want to deal with it? Is there another issue somewhere that is somehow not on our board?
I'm not sure there's another issue. I think this was Brant being proactive, and note that he also filed these as initiatives rather than part of a sub-project because
Yeah, because it didn't exist yet.
yeah.
But
Are
I
we
think
able to edit?
yeah, so Brant should be able to edit because it's his, or let me see if I can.
I seem to be offered the button to edit.
Yeah, I have a button here. Okay, yeah. So if someone who has that button wants to go in and just fix the template really fast,
I will go in and fix the template.
cool. Then that will move that along. And then maybe just tag them saying that, oh, this is fixed.
Yeah.
We can now start checking things out.
Yeah.
Hopefully they'll respond to that. Identity access management. I think I read somewhere that this is, yeah, in review. So maybe this is probably a good reminder for folks on this call to take a look. This was 2 weeks ago. I guess we'll check back in on this at some point, make sure this moves along. This is our second go with the TOC review, so hopefully. I'm not sure why this is in our queue.
The confidential containers.
Yeah,
I
it's,
think they thought we were the technical group most aligned with it to do the technical review.
that seems fine. So are we doing a technical review? Yeah, it's just unclear to me why we're specifically tagged on it. So yeah, this was added in July, but I'm not sure what we're supposed to do with that.
And yeah, there's a ping after that the TOC didn't answer. So,
So I
yeah.
think this is not in our wheelhouse right now. I think if we're reminded to do something, we'll do it. Just for now, I'm not sure what their action item there is. We talked about this one already, right? It's my maturity model. This is what we talked about, right?
We poked the person who started it to say, do you
Oh yeah,
you
3
know.
weeks ago. Well, let's give them
Yeah.
1 more week. Give them a proper month.
one more week, and then we poke one more time, and then we close it, I think.
This one, well, you're here, so I'll ping you now. 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yep.
no pressure, but you're here, so there's
Yes.
the thing.
No, you are right.
And that's our board. Cool. Any other issues that somehow did not end up on the board that people want to talk about?
Wait.
Cool. Yeah.
Somehow we've got other stuff on the board, but maybe
Oh.
it's not tagged with tag security and compliance.
Yeah, whatever the link in the notes doc is what I went to,
Yeah.
which is view open label tag security compliance.
Yeah. I think some of the other stuff may not be right.
Okay.
I'm not sure why initiative data storage in cloud native AI is on our board, but is tagged with tag infrastructure.
Okay, which board do we have a board? Yeah, we have a board too, right?
You were looking at the board with a filter.
Okay.
Here is the board without any filter. And so it contains a number of other things, but
yeah, I think we can take an
like
action
a storage landscape is not like, I don't know why we're there.
We can take an action item for not in this meeting to maybe clean up this board so that we
Yeah.
can use this board in this meeting. I don't want to I'll have to
Yes.
secure through that, but I think that is a good thing for us to do.
Yeah.
Maybe if we have like a leads call to just use some cleanup organization stuff, that could be useful. Cool. Any general stand up from and check in from partner groups? Basically, is there anything happening in other groups that we should be talking about here to be aware of? If you're part of other groups, hear about other groups, that sort of thing. I think we're missing a lot of our OpenSSF folks today, so.
I don't have a lot of OpenSSF.
Yeah.
It seems like it's, happening imminently as opposed to being discussed.
Yeah.
There's a goal to get another round of the security baseline out by the end of this month, but I don't know if it will make it or not.
Okay.
It might be early next month.
Cool. Yeah, and then whenever that comes, we can grind folks here.
Yep.
Anyone here have an exciting community demo for? I think we have one scheduled for 2 weeks from now, but not next week in this time zone call. So if anyone has something they've been thinking on, feel free to add it to the schedule. And then, yeah, any other things that people want, any other topics people want to discuss?
I mean, this is tangentially related at best, but did folks see the Ruby Central fiasco?
Yes.
Seems like supply chain security is coming home to roost a little bit for some of these organizations. If you hadn't, I'm happy to give you a short summary of what I saw and then.
Sure, yeah, maybe the 2-minute version.
Yeah. So Ruby Gems is the distribution mechanism for Ruby packages in general. A bunch of the Ruby Gems maintainers got kicked out of their permissions on their various projects under the Ruby Gems organization. The infrastructure for Ruby Gems is run by a company called Ruby Central, and it seems that they were under pressure by their funders to ensure that they had contractual terms with everyone who had access to the Ruby Gems production infrastructure. And there were deadlines associated, and they did not get to the point that they thought they were going to before the deadline hit. And I don't know if it was some amount of panic or what, they said, gosh, we have to revoke all these people's access immediately. And they did so without much explanation or forewarning. And there was some bad feelings about it and some folks who maybe aren't going to come back to their maintainership roles. So that was the the summary that I was able to glean.
Yeah. I'm curious to see where that all goes, because it's definitely a good reminder to always be aware who owns the infrastructure, not just who maintains it.
I thought I read in
Oh.
there that they didn't have a governance document in place until the middle. Was that
They were
maybe
working
like
on
a
a governance
symptom?
document, but the progress didn't get there as quickly as the deadline from the funding.
I see. Okay. Yeah.
And so the organization that owned it went in and yoinked a bunch of stuff so they could keep, getting their funding. But it sounds like they maybe weren't totally transparent with everyone else about the funding and the deadlines and so forth. Which I understand, can be a difficult topic to bring up. And you're like, if we don't have to, then maybe we just won't. Oh, and more supply chain stuff. Apparently that's where my brain is. NPM looks like they are immediately over the course of time going to move towards stronger authentication methods, because maybe that would have helped in their most recent couple of supply chain compromises.
Trusted publishing for the win.
Well, it's not totally clear whether trusted publishing would have protected against these things, but
I mean, they're adding this as part of it, and
they're removing some of the other publishing methods.
Yeah.
They're saying trusted publishing or 2FA required, or tokens that last less than 7 days. But I think with the worm, if it was running in your CI and your CI had permissions to do trusted publishing, then it would have gone, just as much. And potentially, if you have automation that immediately picks up and tries to update dependencies, you could go even faster with trusted publishing. If you said, oh, as soon as one of my dependent packages is updated, I should pull in and publish a newer version of my package, and then
but that's orthogonal to whether you use trusted publishing or not, because that's just saying like
it's whether you have it automated or a human is running it. Because humans are never immediately going to turn around and do that, because we're lazy and we got things to do. And computers can be very diligent about these things. Now, most of the time, it's probably not worth publishing a new package just because one of your dependencies bumped a little bit. I am worried about the first time someone does this and combines it with a falsely reported CVE to force everybody to upgrade.
That's clever.
What can I say? Sometimes I think like an attacker.
Anyway, all right. Anything else on this or anything else before we go? Awesome. Well, then have a great rest of your week. All around.
Bye.
I'll drop in links for those two from non-inflammatory angles.